beautiful as what you've done with the artistry, but you want to give it a shot?
I think we should.
I think we should. Okay.
Along with this kit, you get a couple of graduated cylinders.
Yep.
Okay.
We're using a 100 ml graduated cylinder because that's going to make easy math for everybody.
Right.
Whatever percentage you feel should go, that many milliliters go in.
So you got numbers on one side, numbers on the other side.
Right. One's for pouring out, one's for pouring in. So if you're measuring your wine to do your blend, you want to look at the side, that starts at 0 and works its way up, because that's how many mils you're pouring in as opposed to how many you're pouring out. And we do also, when you're doing it in a small group like this, 2 or 3, up to 4 people, 100 milliliters is a good size to shoot for, because again, it's easy to do the math.
And you likely will not get the blend quite what you want the first try.
Yeah.
So it leaves you enough wine that you can try this multiple times, and
great.
If you find one that you really like, well, you've got a little left over to make more.
That's
okay.
It. That's it.
So what am I looking for here? I'm looking for what? Just something I like, right?
That's it. I mean, ultimately, that's all that really matters in the end anyway with wine.
Oh, there you go. You've got winemakers that have made the components for us. Now it's up to us. Where do I start?
So where does your palate take you?
Well, I'll tell you, I love all of these wines. However, I must say that, when I tasted that Merlot, it just, bam, I had fruit all over the place. So would it be right to start with a fruit base like that?
Sure. You'll find there's actually no wrong way to do this.
Okay.
Start going with what you feel is right, and like we said, we can try this multiple times and we can tweak it from there.
Right. Let's check it out.
One of the things also I want to emphasize too, as you start doing all this, you can download the tasting template from the website. Keep good notes, because as you go through, you want to be able to tweak your blend, and you have to remember what it was you began with in order to tweak it. And that way you can reproduce it if you want to do a larger blend for everyone else to taste.
Okay,
so,
great. Take notes.
So I'll take notes here.
All right.
So what do you want to start with on the Merlot? What do you think is a good percentage?
Why don't we start with like 35% Merlot?
35%.
Yeah, that'll give us a really nice amount of fruit to begin with, and then we'll see what else we need to throw in there.
All right. You got it. So there's your 35.
Okay.
And what we'll do is we'll pour it into a glass.
Okay, the blending has begun.
All right.
Good.
So now you brought in that fruit element that we're looking for. What else would you feel would accent that fruit?
Well, let's see. Behind the fruit, why don't we go with a little bit of Malbec?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You got it.
And again, that's going to do what for me, Marco?
It's going to, you think of this as a textural component.
Okay.
So it's going to give you a velvety, powerful tannin and a big shot of black fruit.
Perfect. So we've got the fruit bomb going. Now we're going to put the Malbec in there for a little bit of texture.
Yep.
And some intensity to those riper fruits. Okay. And let's not do too much of that. Why don't we do let's do 10% of the Malbec.
10%. All right. Yeah. I'll use the small 10% one here for this. We use a little funnel. These bottles do drip a bit, so if you're doing this at home, don't do this on your finest linen. Not a good idea.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got the fruit, we've got a little bit of mouthfeel and texture going on. What do you think, Zach?
Well, Jonathan, I check in with your glass. As we add each piece, notice how it's going to change and evolve on you.
Yeah.
Right.
As you start tasting and smelling these types of things, you don't want to taste when you're blending, because obviously we don't want to mess up our ratios, but as you're smelling it, it kind of can lead you. It can make you decide which direction you feel you need to go.
A lot of tremendous fruit in there right now, but it just seems like it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. So I'm thinking I'm going to go for the cab.
Sure,
and try to put some earth in this thing.
There you go. Actually, so now we were talking, I forgot to write that down. 10% Malbec was the last one, right? So we're up to 45%.
Okay.
How much of the Cabernet Sauvignon?
I think we're going to add, let's put in 35% cab. If you're anything like me, you might want to have a calculator at home too. How you doing with the math there, Marco?
We're managing so far. Right. If we end up with 110%, then we'll know that
we overachieved.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, I'm going to check in with this again, like you said, Zach. Oh, that made a difference.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
What direction do you feel it took it?
Well, it actually, it kind of brought it down. I just like, boom, fruit in the nose on that one. Now I've got a little bit of earth tones. Okay. Yeah, a little dustiness to it, a little bit of weight.
Okay, well you mentioned it brought it down. What do you think about popping it back up a little bit with a little aromatic?
Okay, that sounds great, yeah. So where would I go for that? I'd probably go for either the Cabernet Franc?
I think the Cab Franc. I mean, either one is
One
going to
of
do
the
it.
two that are left. I had a 50-50 shot on that
Pretty
one.
much.
Okay.
Either one's going to do it. I think the Cab Franc is going to be the stronger. So you're up to
All right, mathematician, what have I got?
80%.
So I have 20% left.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and do 15% on the Cabernet Franc,
got it.
and then that's going to we're going to be at the point where we want to finish this thing out, and we're going to use the finisher for that, the Petite Verdot. And if my math is correct, we have 5% on the Petite Verdot.
Right.
It's just that simple to create a masterpiece.
All right.
Now,
So 15.
I'm really nervous about you guys checking this out and seeing what I've
Well,
done.
and as we said, you know, don't feel pressure to get it right the first time. If you do, more power to you. But there's always different directions, and no matter what you end up with, you're probably going to enjoy it.
Well, the thing about it is I've got 5 great wines, and I imagine, I mean, unless you did something really weird, no matter what you put together, it's going to taste good.
Absolutely.
But what we're looking for is just to have some fun and see what, you know, what kind of blend we can come up
Sure.
with and what kind of signature we can put on the.
Sure, well,
on
this
the
will
wine.
definitely be your signature.
All right, for better or for worse, huh?
There we go.
Oh, that's the blast.
All right.
Cool. So that's it.
That's the blend.
That's the finished product right there. Swirl
Give it
that
a good
around a little
swirl.
bit.
Yep.
Make sure that we get everything mixed together. Doesn't smell too bad.
That's the first step.
Halfway there,
Should I give it a shot?
I get it there.
Okay.
Did you sign the waiver? Nice.
Wow.
Initial reaction?
My initial reaction is we started out with a fruit base,
Mhm.
and it has a beautiful fruit bomb to it. Of course, that's one man's opinion.
That's actually really nice. It has a nice weight to it. Actually, pretty well balanced on the palate. Decently long finish. And this is really tasty.
Are you kidding me? Do I pass muster with the guys?
Well, we might have potential.
That's
some future in this
incredible.
industry.
All right, all right.
Yeah, this is pretty fun, and I think it's a good indication of how what we touched on earlier. The fact that when you start with a lot of good wine, it's really hard to get too far off base. Ultimately, it's all about trying to craft something that appeals to you, that you know, that has the flavors and the weight and the balance that you're looking for. And there's no single right answer. And you know, so you do this and then go off and try a different blend in a totally different direction and see how different it is. And that's where the enjoyable part of this really comes in.
Just for fun, take a taste of your blend and see how it compares. This is the artistry that comes in the kit, and it's a beautiful one.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're very different, and it's fun to taste it because you realize how the same components can create such different things.
Yeah.
You know, the artistry, it's a little more kind of classically balanced. It's a little more the proportions of it are a little bit leaner perhaps than your blend. Your blend's a little more full on the palate, but then the length on the artistry maybe is a little bit longer. You know, to me, it's a wine to reward a little bit of aging, whereas I think yours is going to be a little bit more for the immediate gratification end of the spectrum. But, you know.
But definitely keep in mind that we're slightly biased.
Yes, there is that. There is that.
And know that, you know, if there's a varietal that doesn't work in your blend, if there's something you don't like, you can leave it out.
Okay.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Just because we use all 5 doesn't mean that you have to at home, and you know you did. But you're certainly more than welcome to make as many different blends here as you like.
Well, the great thing is we made this one blend. We've got lots of wine left here. I would say you can make several different blends out of these bottles.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And finally you land on one you like, you know. So.
And hopefully enjoy them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just have fun with it. I mean, you know, make it an evening, have some friends over, and you know, it's a good way to get into some nice discussion about wine in general, and to talk about the different varieties. And you know, one of the things that I think is really important about this whole process is that it gets you to have a shared vocabulary about wine, and it's one of the things that we've already started to do a bit right here. You know, as each of us tastes it and smells it, and we relate to one another what we're getting out of it, we're helping each of our understanding of what it is we're trying to get at. And so that, you know, we go out to a restaurant and we order some wine, well then I've got a better idea what Zach means when he says, you know, black fruit, or what you mean when you say, you know, it's tannic or it's up front or what have you. And that's an important part of all this, I think.
Bringing people together, having fun, enjoying life. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So folks, thank you for joining us, and Marco and Zach, thank you
pleasure.
so much for taking the time today. Enjoy your kit.